y'all see the Denver Broncos beat the Buffalo Bills? I cannot believe the Bills really lost to Russell Wilson and the Denver Broncos at home, and people wonder why Buffalo can't get over the hump. This game is the perfect reason why Buffalo is stuck in the situation that they're in right now. A Super Bowl caliber team, but not able to get over the hump because they self-implode on themselves. I got a lot of things to say about this game, but before we get into it, welcome back to another episode of the JT Sports Podcast. I'm your host, JT. If you haven't already and you're new, leave a like, subscribe to the channel. Remember that we're not just a YouTube channel. You can find every episode of the JT Sports Podcast available in audio format on all podcasting platforms. Apple, Google, Spotify, Amazon, wherever you get your podcast from, the JT Sports Podcast is available. If you enjoyed this episode, we will greatly appreciate it if you leave us a 5-star review on Apple and Spotify. Share this episode with your friends, family members, and acquaintances. The Denver Broncos shocked the world, taking down the Buffalo Bills on the road in Buffalo, 24-22. Who would have thought that Josh Allen will get outplayed by Russell Wilson? Russell Wilson looked like a far better quarterback in this game than what Josh Allen did. And of course, the Buffalo Bills, they definitely helped the Broncos win this game. Okay, let's just be honest about this. I guess Buffalo was in the holiday spirit, and they just felt like gifting the Denver Broncos an easy win. Because anytime you lose the turnover battle 4-1, more times than not, you're going to end up on the losing side of the football game. And you see, people wonder why year after year after year, the Bills continue to come up short. You see, Josh Allen, this dude is one of the most freakish quarterbacks in the NFL. We know how talented he is. But his recklessness is the reason why the Bills struggle to get far in the playoffs. And his recklessness cost them this game. Not just him, but you had the James Cook fumble earlier. You had two costly penalties late in this game, which helped the Denver Broncos get another opportunity to get the game-winning field goal to walk away with the win. The Buffalo Bills should be ashamed of themselves. And I don't want to hear anything about injuries because injuries ain't got shit to do with the Bills losing this game. The Buffalo Bills defense did all they could to make up for the offense, feeling like they were Santa Claus in this game, giving the ball back to the Denver Broncos. Seriously, you would have thought that the Buffalo Bills were Santa's helpers out there. Hell, they might not be working for Santa, but they definitely were helping out the Denver Broncos. They're 4-5 right now. The Broncos went from the biggest laughingstock in the NFL, allowing the Dolphins to hang 70 on their defense, to now being back in the mix to make it to the playoffs. Isn't that crazy? You would have thought that the Buffalo Bills would have came into this game playing the Denver Broncos team at home and handle business. But instead of handling business, they choose to not show up in this game. How do you have 2 turnovers on your first 2 offensive possessions? A fumble, then an interception? You know, I think it's time that we start having some uncomfortable conversations about Sean McDermott's future as the head coach of the Buffalo Bills. Okay, it doesn't matter if the Bills get to the playoffs every single season under Sean McDermott. It doesn't matter that he's been able to turn around this franchise since he became their head coach. You see, there's been plenty of coaches in the past who've gotten fired because of their inability to get their team over the hump. Sean McDermott may need to be the next casualty because I doubt that the Bills will ever win a Super Bowl with Sean McDermott at the helm as a head coach there. He's a good head coach, but maybe his time in Buffalo is starting to come down to an end. He's a defensive-minded coach. His defenses are really good, but anytime his defenses get into the postseason, they get shredded. And anytime the Buffalo Bills are in a big playoff game, they find a way to self-implode on themselves. And this game was the perfect defining game of everything that the Bills have done and why they've came up short time after time over the last couple of years. Reckless play out of Josh Allen. The defense did all they could to save this game for the Bills, but it just wasn't enough. When your offense can't get anything going, there's only so much your D can do. Especially when you're giving the Broncos favorable field position, they could even win on a special teams battle. They act like they didn't know how to punt the football. They act like they didn't know how to split the field and put the Denver Broncos in unfavorable field position. They gave the Broncos every opportunity to win this game. And the Buffalo Bills are so talented of a football team that they didn't lose this game as bad as what any other team not having the talent that Buffalo has would have, having 4 turnovers to 1. You see, when you're a talented team, oftentimes you can overcome turnovers, especially when you have a defense as talented as the Bills, despite all the injuries that they've dealt with, and when you have one of the most talented quarterbacks in the NFL. But at the same time, when you give a team like the Denver Broncos opportunity after opportunity to win the game, you're going to fuck around and find out. And the Bills fucked around and found out, and they lost this game. Even going back to the final play, the field goal by Will Lutz. He first kicked that thing, and that thing went right. You would have thought ball game over, the Bills are going to survive with the win, but no, it's a penalty. Of course it has to be a penalty because it's the Buffalo Bills. They just find ways to self-implode on themselves. 12 men on the field. How do you have 12 men on the field for the final play of a field goal? What? That's on the coaching. There's no more excuses that you can make for Sean McDermott anymore. The Bills are 5-5. They have a really big chance of not making it to the postseason this year. And I said this prior to the season starting, that the Bills are in a little bit of trouble. And Buffalo fans said, nah, man, you tripping. You in the media are dragging this thing out. Y'all trying to make it seem like our Super Bowl window has closed. I don't think your Super Bowl window has closed. You want to know what I think? I think that you're not Super Bowl contenders anymore. That's just the brute honesty about the situation. You're not Super Bowl contenders. You can't take care of the football. Your quarterback is way too reckless to trust in close games. Even against the Miami Dolphins last year, you almost effed around and found out the same way you found out in this game. You lucky that you were playing Skylar Thompson and not Tua. Because if Tua would have played in that wild card round, then your ass would have got sent home way before you got the opportunity to play the Cincinnati Bengals. You see, the Buffalo Bills are a team that they win the offseason every year. Every year you go into the NFL season, you always look at the Buffalo Bills. You say, yeah, like they got one of the most talented rosters in the NFL. They got a great defense. They got a great quarterback. They should be able to win it all. Hell, you thought that them signing Von Miller not too long ago was the missing piece for them getting over the hump. But yet, for some reason, this team still continues to underachieve. I know that this is a regular season game and we can't completely define how the Bills season is going to go from here. But I think it's safe to say, after watching this game, the Bills lost this game the similar fashion they've lost in the playoffs. Reckless play, not being able to execute in the crucial moments of this game. This is a really disappointing loss for the Bills. And not only does this loss hurt you, but it also puts you farther back of being able to reclaim top of the AFC East over the Miami Dolphins. At least the Dolphins, they may not be able to beat a good team, but at least they beat the teams that they should be able to beat. This is another loss that the Buffalo Bills had to a team that had a record of below 500. You lose to Denver. You lose to the Patriots. What other team are you going to play down to next? The Jets? Are you going to lose to Zach Wilson? I'm not going to go that far. I think the Bills are capable of being able to beat Zach Wilson, and I think the Bills are capable of being able to beat some of the best teams upcoming on their schedule over the next couple of weeks. You should be able to get right with the Philadelphia Eagles and be able to still win against Kansas City and Arrowhead or against the Dallas Cowboys or the LA Chargers. But at the same time, is any game on this schedule a guaranteed win for the Bills? I mean, they almost lost to the New York Giants. And we know how bad the Giants are. They lost to the Jets the first game of the regular season, 3 plays after Aaron Rodgers got injured. The Bills are not a championship caliber football team. And it has nothing to do with injuries. It has everything to do with the reckless play that they get out of their quarterback and the fact that they have a head coach who, for some reason, in crucial moments, this team just seems to falter under. Congratulations to the Denver Broncos. Their season is starting to turn around, and I was telling a lot of Broncos fans coming into the season that you should at least be able to be a 9-10 win team. Sean Payton is a huge upgrade over Nathaniel Hackett. This dude is one of the greatest offensive minds to ever touch the clipboard, to ever stand on the sidelines in the National Football League. If there's anybody who should be able to fix up Russell Wilson, it would be Sean Payton. And that's what Sean Payton has done up to this point this season. Sean Payton has done God's work with having Russell Wilson playing at a serviceable level. And in this game, Russell Wilson, yeah, it could have been a little bit better. And the throw to Courtland Sutton was a little bit sketchy. And when you look at his statistics, the fact that he's not setting the world on fire and passing yards and whatnot, it doesn't matter. Russell Wilson is good enough that with this level of play, the Broncos can continue to win games with this, especially if their defense continues to play the way that it has over the last couple of weeks. They've now beaten the Bills and the Chiefs in back-to-back weeks. Isn't that crazy? You know, we were looking at Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City with the crazy eye, with the people's eyebrow when they lost to Denver. But now the Buffalo Bills suffer the same fate. Maybe the Broncos are turning the corner, and maybe this is just an overreaction from me. Maybe the Broncos are now starting to play like a playoff caliber football team, but it still doesn't excuse the fact that the Bills lost to a Broncos team below 500 at home. They gave up 4 turnovers in this game. They were looking like Santa Claus. Ho, 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 ho. Merry Christmas. You get a turnover. You get a turnover. You know what? You want one too? Go ahead and get it. And then you have 12 men on the field for the field goal that potentially could have won you this game that Will Lutz missed initially. The Bills are one of the biggest disappointments of this NFL season up to this point. Okay, this team is way better than their 5-5 record. It doesn't matter about how many injuries you have. You have Josh Allen, who is supposed to be one of the best quarterbacks in the National Football League. When you have an elite quarterback, he should be able to help you overcome certain limitations, such as injuries. CJ Stroud went on the road to Cincinnati and led the Texans to an upset victory over Joe Burrow and the Bengals with several starters out on defense and a terrible offensive line. CJ Stroud, to me, looks better than Josh Allen right now. That may be harsh to say, but I would take CJ Stroud over Josh Allen in a heartbeat. You want to know why? Because CJ Stroud's style of play results in you going further in the playoffs. When you have a reckless quarterback that can't take care of the football, that's not a winning recipe for making a deep playoff run. The quarterbacks that make it the furthest in the playoffs are the ones that don't hurt their teams with costly mistakes. We know Josh Allen is super talented, has a big arm. This dude is an incredible athlete. But the one thing that he struggles with is one of the most important components to being a Super Bowl caliber team, and that's taking care of the pigskin, which he doesn't do a great job of. You know, you can say Ryan Dable was a big reason why the Bills had so much success, but even then, they were still not being able to get over the hump, even when Brian Dable was there. You see, I think at this point, this is time where the Bills need to sit down, look at themselves in the mirror, and figure out what's going wrong. They're 5-5 right now, and they currently are outside looking in of making it to the playoffs. When you can't take care of the football, you got reckless quarterback play. That's how you end up playing down the competition and losing to teams like the Denver Broncos that you should have beaten. The Broncos were not a better team than the Buffalo Bills, and it shows because a better team that is 4-1 in the turnover battle normally wins this game by double digits, not by a game-winning field goal. I think this game shows more about the fact how the Bills helped the Broncos win than it shows about the Broncos being able to beat the Bills. Honestly, and if you're a Broncos fan, I know you're going to feel slighted because at the end of the day, you won this game and congratulations, but the Bills gave you this win. They gave it to you. They hand-wrapped it for you. They said, we know Christmas is a month and a couple of weeks away, but we can't wait. We just want to go ahead and give you your gift early, and your gift is becoming a 4-5 football team and right back in the mix of making it to the playoffs. And if the Denver Broncos keep winning, they could definitely steal that 7 seed from Houston, Buffalo, or whoever else is ahead or behind them for that spot. You know, their defense is playing pretty well. Sean Payton and Russell Wilson are starting to figure it out. But, you know, the Buffalo Bills gave the Denver Broncos a lot of favors tonight. They gave them 4 of them. The Broncos gave them 1 in return. But anytime you lose the turnover margin this badly, more times than not, you're going to lose. And it's even a blessing that the Bills even had a chance to win this game. Because imagine if they lost the turnover battle 1-4 against Kansas City or the Dallas Cowboys or the Detroit Lions or the Baltimore Ravens. They would have got blown the hell out. The Bills' inability to take care of the football, their inability to execute in the biggest moments of games is the big reason why this team is unable to get over the hump. The Bills are no longer Super Bowl contenders. They're a playoff contender. They're one of those teams that you know they got a high chance of making it to the playoffs, but you also know that they're not going to do diddly squat. People need to start looking at Josh Allen the same way they look at Lamar Jackson. You can't trust Lamar to get it done in the postseason. Okay, you can't trust Josh Allen to get it done in the postseason. Why would I trust a quarterback that can't take care of the football? Why would I trust a head coach that in the biggest moments of games seems to find ways to melt down? Congratulations to the Denver Broncos on their 4th win of the season. They beat the Buffalo Bills 24-22 on Monday Night Football. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this episode, leave us a 5-star review. You can find us on all podcasting platforms: Apple, Google, Spotify, Amazon, wherever you get your podcast from. The JT Sports Podcast is available. And I will see you guys shortly with another episode of the JT Sports Podcast.